Hi, I'm Mackenzie.
Hey, I'm Denise, and welcome to the podcast from Rundown to Renewed. Today, we are very excited to welcome our special guest. She's joining us locally from Pennsylvania. She is passionate about helping people learn and grow spiritually, and we are so honored to have her on our podcast today. We can't wait for you to meet her. She is an author of the newly released book, Becoming an Everyday Warrior. So, welcome to Jamie Sheffield. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, we're excited. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your ministry that you have?
Awesome. I would love to. So I am, like Denise said, in Pennsylvania. I've been outside Pittsburgh and I live with my two girls. They are teenagers. I've newly bounced into the world of having an adult child. So I feel like I'm in new territory. And then I always say I'm a mom of two Labradoodles as well, because they are, quite frankly, two more children to me. Yeah. So, as far as the organization, the ministry goes, this is something that God really laid on my heart 7 years ago. And he just surprised me one day in a time of prayer with bubble letters of the word Jericho.
Mhm.
And so it took me a long time to figure out what it meant, what it was for, how was I going to pursue it, how was I going to do it. I didn't know if I needed to build something or what, but my heart is very closely tied to human trafficking and counter efforts in that realm. And so I was like, well, God, if I'm going to do something for you, I want to do it in that realm. And so I just spent a lot of time. I'm not the most patient person when it comes to like, when God tells me something, I want to run with it. But I wanted to do this right and really took my time with it to figure out what it was because I wanted to get it right.
Yeah.
So I was able to join the two together. So the Jericho Mission really is just an overarching organization to help women, or eventually one day I hope to be able to work with children to recover from any kind of abuse, sexual abuse, any kind of life they've been forced into that they didn't choose, and especially survivors of trafficking. So, one of the things that this organization will do, I heard a pastor a few years ago say, "Sow where you want to go."
Mm.
And so, until I can dive into counter trafficking efforts and really work with these women, I thought, what better way to really speak into my future than to sow into other people or ministries already doing it?
Yeah.
So for now, we support other organizations in the Pittsburgh area that are doing counter trafficking. So we partner with two different organizations for that. And then I actually, once I get my fundraising up and going, I am going to be saving for what for me is going to be a healing house.
Mm.
In the meantime, I'm writing books and curriculums and maybe some workbooks or journals. I don't know where it'll take me, but I want to have the curriculum ready. So when the women come, I have everything ready and I want to walk them through such a powerful journey of how God can help us heal in ways that nobody else can. And in such a full way that like we don't even have to remember our past other than to talk about it because it's just no longer a part of ourselves. We carry a lot of trauma and emotions in our body, but we can actually get rid of that with God's healing. And so in the meantime, these educational resources are just for Christians in general. You know, I think everybody can benefit from them, even though I plan to use them in the future specifically. For now, it's just the message that I have to share and what God has laid on my heart. So I'm sharing it with everybody first until I can kind of tailor it down to the exact audience I'm hoping to assist and help.
A healing house is beautiful. I'm
Mhm.
I'm coming when you have that up.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
That's really in line. Like a healing house is so in line with different things that Mackenzie has been sharing with me, just different
Aw.
ideas. And when you said that, I thought, oh my goodness.
Which is funny because for the longest time, I thought I wanted a safe house and I wanted to run like a network of safe houses for trafficking
Yeah.
survivors once they got out. And the Lord really actually just recently, within the last month or two, really challenged me. Like, there are already people doing that.
Mhm.
Let them do it. I've called you to something different. So,
Wow.
Well, and it's in
and
that
as,
healing where they transform and they can feel
yes.
safe no matter where they are. They don't
Right.
need that safe house as a protection.
And something we know as Christians, and something I know just, from my past, which we'll kind of get to, is you can heal, but you can still feel like your purpose and your value was stolen from you.
Yes.
And so as I transition into really diving into these fires, these messes, this trauma, all of these things that we carry with us, my main goal is to instill purpose and value back into them.
Yeah.
And that's not a safe house.
No.
That's restoring their heart, their spirit, their life, and really putting them on a path to a future they could have never even imagined.
Right.
And so for me, it turned into a healing house.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, oh, that's so much better than what I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Our gift boxes would be so good for your house.
Oh, yeah.
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 Talk to us when, yes, because that would be, we've talked about, partnering with different cancer organizations and different things like that with our boxes as well. We're trying to brainstorm, and when you were sharing all of that, I just was like, that would
Have them
be,
walk into a room with
yes, with a
box
box,
of
and oh my gosh, I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. These boxes were created to just be able to experience the Lord and just have
Yeah.
moments with Him. And so everything is all about that in our boxes. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. One of the main themes that I really want is just, not every person is going to want to choose God for their healing journey,
Right.
but for those that do, I don't want them to have to struggle or search or feel like they have to be in the right place, in the right room at the right time to meet with him.
yeah.
And so that's really cool because, just being able to come in, breathe a sigh of relief, go into a room, and the first experience you have would be opening up a box of little moments with God. That just sounds cool.
I'm so excited. God's gonna do it. Okay.
That's awesome.
I want to ask you, because something you said I think is really powerful, is you talked about how, we can heal, but we can still feel stripped of our purpose and our value.
Mhm.
And I think that that's very true. And I've never heard someone say it like that. And I guarantee you, we have people listening that feel that way. And so I guess, like, what would be something that you would say to a woman that has really done that healing work or is on that healing journey, but still feels completely stripped of her value and her purpose?
Yeah. So there are moments that we're going to have that are powerful, moments we're going to have where we feel lost and broken, moments where we're going to be unsure and uncertain. Sometimes we're going to be scared. Like it's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
My advice is don't rush through any one of those feelings because God is going to use every last one of them. So when we hit rock bottom and we get embarrassed and we're afraid that people are talking about us or the person who hurt us is talking about us and there's all this trauma and these wounds, but yet then there's layers of what gets added to it in real life. It can feel very overwhelming and very like you're drowning in your own sorrow to a degree. And so my advice is don't rush through any of those because if you don't sit in your lowest moment and learn how to come out of it, you can't walk somebody else out of theirs.
That's right.
And as a Christian, I feel like one of our greatest callings is we can't escape the trials, struggles, pain of this world. We know that. But what we can do is learn from it. And our testimony should never scare us or shame us because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other people who are either in it right now or who will be in it shortly.
Yep.
And if we don't learn from that and then dive headfirst back in to help somebody else through it, I feel like that's where we lose the purpose of that season. And so don't be afraid of it. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Handle all of those feelings with care so you can remember what it feels like to be there the next time you sit with someone who is.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's that's beautiful. And Denise and I just finished out doing a testimony course where we are teaching women how to share their testimonies.
That's awesome.
And because a lot of time there is so much shame and guilt involved
Yes.
in that we don't share because of that. And I was in that situation.
For sure.
I had so much shame and guilt that I would never tell anyone. But the Lord worked through that, thankfully. And now I just share all my skeletons with everybody to point them to the Lord.
Yes.
So that is, yeah, that is so true. And your testimony, in order to have a testimony, you have to go through those trials, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Very much so. And so, like, there were a couple phrases throughout my healing journey that really stuck with me. And one of them was very similar to what you just said, Mackenzie, is um, so messes become messages and trials become training ground.
Ooh.
And so if we can change our perspective, and this is why I wanted to write a different book when I started, and I started writing a different book. And the Lord gently corrected me and said, this isn't where we need to start, because people don't know how to fight and they don't know how to come out of those feelings. And so we needed to lay the groundwork first. And so I had to change my perspective on why can I never get ahead? Why am I always under attack? Why is some area of my life always crumbling?
Wow.
And the Lord really challenged me to look at it as training. And it feels wrong at first because you're like, is God doing this to me on purpose then? No, because we're going to go through it with or without God, no matter what. The thing with God is, if we went through it without him, it would just be pain. But when we go through it with him, he takes that pain and gives it the purpose, because now we can use it in the kingdom. He can use it in the kingdom. And so all of these things that we're ashamed of, things we've been through, things we're going to go through, I genuinely look at them as training ground. And so when something starts to crumble, I say, all right, God, not why me, but what do you want me to learn?
Yeah.
So I don't have to do this again.
Right.
Because if we don't learn the lesson the first time, we may have to go through it again. And I am a living testament of what it looks like to go through some of the same things time and time again, because I just wanted to get through it. I didn't want to learn from it because I didn't think there was anything to learn.
Yeah.
So those trials really are training ground for our character, for our mental toughness,
That's right.
and to build trust with ourselves. So we know what the Bible says about us is true. We are not just conquerors. We are more than conquerors, which means there's more than just winning the battle.
Amen.
We can actually come out better because of the battle. And that's going to be one of my taglines, better because of the battle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That is awesome.
Oh my, I'm so glad we're recording this so I can come back like, because you're saying something and then I'm like, but she just said like 8 good things and I can't remember all of them. I'm going to take so many notes on this episode.
it comes out of, honestly, life experience. I don't take credit for any of it. And that is something I always want to make sure that I convey. Like, I have spent a lifetime making mistakes and feeling like every time I turned around, I had to pick myself up off the ground from another hurt or another struggle.
Yep.
I've spent a vast majority of my adult life feeling lost, not knowing my purpose, not understanding how any of this was for my good. And so I really just want to encourage everyone listening, like, if I can come out better on the other side of everything I've been through, anyone can. But it is a choice. It's not just going to happen naturally. We have to really align ourselves, even in the midst of those struggles, with the kingdom and with heaven, because our only other choice is to align ourselves with our enemy and hell. Because when we sink into that shame and stay quiet and isolate ourselves and stay in that embarrassment of what we've been through, that's all. Those are just lies that he's feeding us to keep us stuck and distracted.
Yeah.
But when we lean into God
Mhm.
and allow him to put that purpose into the pain and to help us be better because of the battle, it's like you cannot even fathom truly what God can do with your story
Mhm.
until you're on the other side of it going, holy cow, how did this happen? And it gives you so much appreciation for who he is, how good he is, and how faithful he is. Because how many times during that, he's 100% committed to us, and we're like, I hate you right now. Why this? Why that? I'm mad about this. You didn't do what I said. And, we end up yelling at God because it looks and feels different than what we thought it would be.
Right.
And yet he's working every ounce of that for our good.
Yeah.
It just takes a little while to see it. So he's so faithful and he's so good through those ups and downs.
Yeah. So you brought up different challenges. So I want to ask you, like, what was one challenge you had to overcome in order to step into what God is calling you to right now?
So we touched on it a little bit, but for me, it was kind of what I just said. I was scared, lost, hurting, broken, embarrassed, ashamed. I felt like God told me there was this calling on my life and that I had purpose and I had value, but my life did not reflect anything of what he had told me.
Hmm.
And it was hard. And so I did not see or appreciate a lot of what I was going through. I was very angry with God. I mean, I stuck with God like we were tight, but I was so mad at him for so many seasons,
Yep.
And he really one day just challenged me with those phrases like, your mess is a message for somebody else. And these trials are just training you to help others going through it. And so for me, it was this perspective shift where I had to, in a very real and raw way, like humble myself. And I mean humble, like, Lord, take it all.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to heal from this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to help my kids walk through this. I don't know how to tell somebody this is what I've been through. Just take it all and
Yeah.
help me see it through your eyes.
Yeah.
And that was a defining moment for me because it's almost like I was viewing myself as the broken vase shattered on the floor.
Mhm.
And I had no idea that he could even put me back together still.
Right.
And so once I changed my perspective, and which is a process in and of itself, but I started to see myself through the lens that he saw me.
Mhm.
And at first it felt wrong because I was like, well, yeah, I'm crowned with dignity, but I don't have dignity. I know he says I'm worthy and I'm royal and an heir to his throne and I'm beautiful and all these things. And I started speaking his word over myself, but it felt like a lie when I first started it.
Yeah.
But once I got a hold of how he saw me, how much he loved me, and that what he had told me from the start about the call on my life was actually true, I was like, look, if this is true, and I think that it is, then I'm just going to go for it. And you're going to have to help me. And you're going to have to fill in the pieces of what I don't have. You're going to have to take every obstacle and every barrier that gets in my way and teach me how to overcome it. And it was like I changed from feeling completely lost with no hope and no purpose to, okay, you can stop downloading things into me now.
Right. Right.
Once you release it and you surrender and you say, okay, God, this is of you, for you, through you, by you. I'm just the person like trying to figure out how to navigate this on earth so you can get the glory and reach the people you want to reach. It's like a waterfall. And it's like amazingly overwhelming in a new way.
Right.
So for me, I would say the one challenge, the hardest thing was to see myself as worthy of the calling I knew he had for me. And I'll be honest, even sitting here today with a book published and a website and a nonprofit, I still feel like I'm not qualified for the call he has for me. But I choose to ignore that and say, no, if he called me, he'll equip me. He'll bring me the right people.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many other women and even men that I talk to, this is their journey. It's so much more common than I think what we talk about.
Absolutely.
And if I could get people to open up their heart to shift their perspective God's way and have his eyes and his heart and his desires. And recently, another tagline to look more like the kingdom than the culture. We would see Christians exploding in so many areas of this world. Yeah. And so I'm just on fire to encourage, educate, and empower Christians to rise up to the call. Yeah. Because we all have one, whether he's revealed it to us or not. And I don't know that there's a day where we will ever feel worthy of that call, but he sees us as worthy of that call. Right. And so we lean into how he sees us in order to overcome and pursue what it is he's called us to.
It kind of reminds me of $100 bill that has been crumpled on and stepped on. Yes. And laying on the side of the road. And if you see that $100 bill, would you pick it up?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because it has its value.
And I'd shake it out.
Right?
Exactly.
It has its value. And that's the same with us. We can go through all these trials, we can go through all this pain, but we still have that same value that God gave us before all the pain, when he formed us in our mother's womb, right?
Yeah. And not one of these things surprises him. He knew exactly what every single one of our journeys would entail, how long it would take us to run back to him each time we turned away. And he's never surprised by a single choice we make or a single mistake that we make. And so the fact that he holds it all so gently and just says, it's okay, I know you chose wrong there, but I'm going to bring you back on track down the line. You just don't know it yet. What kind of a God does that? That every single time we choose something other than him, he creates a path for us to come back to him. It kind of blows my mind when we think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so gracious.
He really
is. He's so gracious. Yeah. So tell us a little more about we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but just the mission and what you're hoping to accomplish and all of that.
Yes. So I want to ultimately end up with that healing house, supporting other organizations, and not just in those realms, but where, trafficked victims or victims of abuse or anything like that. But just, I think people are just battered and broken by life and they don't know how to handle it. And so my goal really, even though I have a specific population that I feel like I can pour into more, is just to share this message of okay, the church has kind of switched over to reaching mostly just lost people, which is not a bad calling. I just think we're maybe skipping a little bit out on what do we teach them after they get saved? How do we help them grow? I think there's some gaps in what the church is teaching as a whole, not any specific church, just as a whole. And so God challenged me because I'm a complainer. I'm a little critical. And he was like, instead of complaining, why don't you fill the gaps with your organization?
Wow.
Right. And you're like, all right, okay. And so, yeah. So really what my mission is to specifically speak to Christians. You have been given a purpose, a calling, the gifts you need to fulfill it, and the authority that you need to walk in it successfully. And so how many of us are doing that?
Right.
Not very many. And so I think until I can really get to where I want to be, my message is for Christians. The call is higher than what we're living. The standard is higher than what we're representing.
Wow.
And God is bigger and better than who we're showing the world he is. And so I feel like we're doing a disservice to ourselves by not representing the full story of Christ.
Mhm.
You know, so many churches focus on his love and his grace, and they leave out truth. But the story that I always go to is when Jesus said to the woman who was potentially had the potential of being stoned, you know, what was the last thing he said to her after he said, I don't condemn you? He said, go and sin no more.
Right.
And so we have to embrace sinners without embracing the sin. And we have to call them up out of their sin, not just say we can love it out of them, because we cannot. And we've tried and it's not working, but they're not catching on yet. And so I really want to focus on fully representing who God is in love and truth, because we need both. And yes, we can be loving, speaking something hard.
Yeah,
We
that's
can
right.
be loving, speaking the truth over someone. We can be loving, saying, I think that God might have more for you than the life you're living, whatever it is.
Oof.
And so just calling them up and saying, you were given more than this. Well, let's just explore what it is. And if you don't know what it is, let's see how close you have to get to God for him to tell you, because he will tell you.
Right.
So that's kind of the mission, is just calling Christians higher, raising the bar for the life that we're living and looking more like kingdom than we do culture.
Mhm.
And I think through that, one of the things I am working on right now with this first book that I just released is trying to get it into church libraries so people have access to it. And then the Lord gave me a really cool idea through a commercial that I saw to write a letter and send it out to Christian schools across the state and see if they wanted to use it in their curriculum for spiritual growth and development, or one of their Bible classes, a summer book reading. And so it's more for education. It's more to give. The Bible already gives us the tools. I'm just reminding people what they are, because I don't think we read the Bible anymore.
Hmm.
And so I just want my books and my resources to be full of God, full of his love, but full of his truth, so that when people read it, they can have an encounter with him and want to be better where they are.
Right.
Yeah. I think I agree with everything you're saying. And, with Christians, I think about when I was growing up and how I came to the Lord, and it was like, okay, you believe he died on the cross, you believe he rose again, you're confessing it with your mouth, you're saved, you're going to heaven.
Right.
Congratulations, you get that check mark. But there's
Yes.
this full sanctification process,
Right.
that is not addressed at all. And
Correct.
so I love what you're doing there. That's awesome.
One of the chapters in the book, I think it's the specific piece of armor, the breastplate of righteousness.
Mhm.
I did not know that there were two types of righteousness listed in the Bible. And one is given to us upon salvation. And the other says, and this is the salvation that you will work out with God over your life. And that is the process of sanctification that you just talked about. And so in my book, of course, I didn't know this prior to it. I mean, I made the mistake of thinking God gave me a message for the world, and I'm writing this book for you guys and other people. And then as I'm writing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed this.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know so many of the things that I had to write about. And so God really challenged me not to put a word down on a single page that I hadn't walked through or lived out. And so that was something that came new to me, was those two different versions of righteousness. And we are called to live a life as Christians that is pleasing to God.
Mhm.
And that means that we are not subject to the sin that controls us. We can overcome it. And we are called to, and can, through that authority, put our flesh to death.
Mm.
And we have the tools to do it. And then, this whole armor of God, it's proactive. How many of us are like, I need to protect my mind after we've stewed on something for a week? Or, it's been 7 years. I should really forgive that person. But yet this armor that he gives us, we can wake up and put it on every single morning to protect ourselves from what the culture of the world and the devil does. And so that was a process of really diving in and saying, one, we're going about this wrong. We're reacting instead of being proactive. And two, we are called to change our lives. And our life cannot be that living example if we don't go through that process of sanctification, like you said.
Yeah. So becoming an everyday warrior, love the name, by the way. But if we are talking about the armor of God, we have to acknowledge that we're in a spiritual battle, right? Because we don't see this physical armor, it's all spiritual.
Right.
So what would you say to those people that are kind of scared to admit that there is this spiritual battle around them and are worried about really diving in and learning about demons and angels and all of that?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things I write about that I like to use a lot of imagery. Mm-hmm. And so in summary, so I don't give away too much, if you picture a real battle, like a physical battle, like present day, mm-hmm. How foolish would you look walking out on the front lines? No weapons, no armor, no helmet, no team, no protection, no preparation, don't have a clue what you're doing, right? How long are you going to survive? Not very long. So if we take that same imagery and we apply it to spiritual battles, why in the world would we fight the devil unprepared, without the tools and armor and sword and weapons that God has given us, without claiming his authority and walking in there? I just feel like if we can understand how foolish we would look walking into a real war that way, that is how we look to the devil walking into spiritual warfare. Mm-hmm. And he sees us coming unprepared. Mm-hmm. And so he's free to attack anywhere when we walk in like that. Mm-hmm. And so my encouragement is, even if you don't think it's going to work, even if you're a little skeptical about sounding crazy, looking crazy, like, how do I talk to a demon and make it flee? Like, it can get a little weird, but we have to go with the authority of Christ. We can't just go in unprepared. We take his authority, we take his armor, we take the sword that he's given us, essentially, which is his words and his truth. And that's all we need. Right. So if you want to take the weird out of it, where you're fighting, if I had a problem with you, Mackenzie, and we were in the middle of a physical battle where we had some kind of conflict between us, I now would treat you the same way I would treat the devil, in the sense of, like, even with a physical person, place, or thing that I'm struggling with, it is prayer. It is, okay, don't let the enemy put any additional lies or thoughts or stories in my head about this person. I pray that their heart would be softened, right? I'm now looking at you like you're under attack and I'm under attack. And how do we get on the same page to actually fight back against the enemy instead of each other?
So good. Imagine if we all
imagine, because the Bible tells us that we do not fight against flesh and blood. And that's so right. It doesn't matter what the battle is. Mm-hmm. It's not, I mean, I think we can all sit here and say the devil has no problem using Christians to hurt us. Right. No problem using people in the church. No problem using pastors. And so if you are unprepared, you're a tool in the enemy's hand that he can use. Wow. If you are unprotected, it doesn't matter your title. It doesn't matter how saved or how long you've been saved. The devil can and will use you, because we all have a weakness. Right. And so really that proactive approach of protecting our mind, protecting our heart, protecting our body, living a righteous life to the best of our ability is one of the ways that we ward off the devil, because it makes him angry when we make good choices, when we have godly friendships, when our marriage survives the trauma, when our kids start to praise God. When he sees all of this going on in our life, he flees because he's mad. So it doesn't have to be this speaking to the demons, speaking to the devil, speaking to the spiritual realm as much as it is carrying with us every day the kingdom principles in the Bible.
Yep.
And once we start to walk in authority and speak God's truth and God's words and put on that armor and use our sword correctly, it just becomes actually where you're engaged in a battle, but it feels like you're just living life now because we just simply do it this way.
Wow. Yeah. Like an everyday warrior. There you
Yes.
go. There
exactly.
it is. There
I didn't catch it, but it's so true. Like the Bible was meant for everyday living.
Right.
It was meant for the days where you woke up tired and your kid said something stupid right off the bat and you're impatient and irritated. Like the Bible was made for that as much as it was the big stuff.
Right.
It was made for every moment. It was made for everyday living, but we don't wear it that way and carry it with us that way anymore. And I mean, I'm guilty of that myself. It's not an accusation I'm putting out there. It's God challenged me because I wasn't doing it. And I think this is the message he chose for me to share because he knew that I wouldn't share the message without walking it first.
Right.
And so I thought my relationship with God was good until I was like, oh, the Bible says so much more. I just didn't know.
And isn't he just so gracious to show us these things? Like, I just think, I mean, yeah, you can have a good relationship with God and it can always grow deeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you think about it, like we were made in his image, which means our goal every day is to become more like him.
Right.
Will we ever attain being like God? No. And so there's always going to be something, no matter our age, no matter where we are in life, no matter what we're doing or going through, something we can learn.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, sometimes we have to learn it more than once.
Yeah.
We have to relearn every couple of years some of these lessons because we don't keep them. They don't stick with us all the time.
Right.
So it is a constant cycle of learning and growing. And I truly, I say this with recognizing it is a barrier for some to hear this, but I truly believe that we can walk this earth without living in constant sin, that our flesh does not have to control us, that God has given us everything we need to be successful according to his will, and that we can have a kingdom mindset and we can create a kingdom legacy for generations to come if we surrender our life and our purpose to him, because he can do abundantly more than what we ever could with the same amount of effort on our own.
Wow. Yeah.
He takes it and multiplies it in ways we could not even imagine, for the right person at the right time, you know?
Yeah. What would you say to an older woman or person that is like, I hear you, but I missed my opportunities. I'm old, insert whatever else they believe.
Let me be honest with you. Since I started this organization, that is the number one demographic that has reached out to me. And it is the number one thing I hear right now is I feel like I missed it. I feel like my time has passed, or, well, I'm in my 50s or 60s. My kids aren't serving God. Do I give up on them and just try and get the grandkids saved? I mean, this is so common. And it's funny because my mom and I have had some of these same conversations. And so I never would have thought that I was prepared to speak into somebody's life that was double my age or more. But I have watched my mom um, become a prayer warrior for our family. And I can point back to so many conversations where her encouragement was the thing that made me or helped me make the right decision in a moment. You never lose your power or your authority. If you desperately still want to have an impact, ask God to use you where you are. If you're retired, you never have to stop praying for your kids ever. I can honestly say what's really interesting is my mom started out praying for all of her grandkids. So my daughter's the oldest, so 19 years ago, essentially. And over the last, we'll just give it an even 20 years, we have seen all but one or two of those grandkids get saved. And 20 years might seem like a long time for 7 people to find Jesus, but that goes on her account wholeheartedly because she poured into them. She prayed for them regularly. She spoke things over them when they were in her presence. She never quit and never gave up. And now, it wasn't always easy. And sometimes it felt more like you're up against a brick wall. But your words in the kingdom have more influence than your actions on earth. What you speak when you partner with God, partner with the angels, partner with all of the realm of heavenly things, they work on your behalf. Wow. With your faith. And it's like, you can pray, you can speak. I would love to have some of those women reach out to me and come to my conference and be on my prayer team because we need your wisdom. We need to know what you've learned in your 70 years that I don't even know to look for yet.
Right.
How is your relationship with God, and how can I learn from your wisdom, your mistakes? That's actually something I've been praying about, is like, I'm going to turn 40 this year and I need a mentor. And there's so many women out there who feel like they've lost their purpose. And yet there are so many of us here who would be like, I will have a one-on-one call with you weekly. I would love to ask questions.
Yeah, I think a belief that a lot of women, older women, have is that the younger ones don't want to listen to them. And I mean, I am also in the same boat as you. I would love a mentor. And I've asked some people and it hasn't worked out, but like,
Same.
Where are those women?
Yeah.
We need you.
So
we want you.
This really hit home for me. I have an hour's drive to and from work every day. And so instead of complaining and being critical of that, because that's my natural bend, the Lord really challenged me to use that as a time of prayer, worship, or watching additional sermons or podcasts.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. And I just heard, of all people, Lisa Bevere. Do you guys know who that is?
Yeah.
We would all probably be in agreement that she's one of the most well-known and successful women in Christian ministry, with, all of her books, courses, curriculums, everything.
Yeah.
And I listened to her say what we just said.
Mm-hmm.
She was in her 30s, late 30s, early 40s, and she felt like she needed somebody, a mentor, somebody to talk to, and nobody would do it. Nobody.
Wow.
She talked to different people, and they just, they were either too busy, they didn't necessarily feel like they could, or whatever. And she said God challenged her at some point then to stop asking for a mentor and start being one to the younger generation. And that just kind of stuck with me. I don't feel qualified yet to be somebody's mentor, although I feel like I have a lot to offer to the right person. But I think, same thing I said at the beginning, so where you want to go. If I can find somebody to be a mentor to, I can trust that God will be faithful to provide me a mentor that I need. If you pour in to the area you want or have a need in, then I think he's faithful to provide that.
Yes. That's so
And
good.
if I find one, I will share her with you.
Oh, I love that.
Our calendar will get real busy real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Jamie, this has been like absolutely lovely.
Mhm.
Like, thank you so much for all of your wisdom and
Oh,
your willingness to share. And
Yeah.
we're so excited about your book and about everything that you're doing. We can't wait to partner with you when you have this healing.
yes.
So excited.
Mhm.
Um, tell us and our followers and our all of our listeners where we can find you, where we can get your book, all that good stuff.
Yes. So I specifically just redid the website so that you can pretty much find everything on there.
Awesome.
So it is thejerichomission.com. And one of the first pieces that will pop up at the very top is where you can buy the book. And then I have a stand store that you can go to get some free downloads of daily declarations. There is a link in there you can click on to purchase spiritual coaching. And what I do is we create a battle plan, is what I call it. Your strengths, your weaknesses, 3 areas of concern, and then we come up for a plan of attack on how to spiritually attack those things in your life. So it's very individualized. And then you can also fill out the contact form on the website and sign up for our online book study that we're going to be launching in the fall.
Awesome.
So the website will kind of give you everything. You can, the book itself can be purchased through westbowpress.com at their bookstore, but all that information is on the website. And then we can also, we're on Facebook and Instagram, so you can find us there as well. And it's just the Jericho Mission for both.
Okay.
Awesome.
I don't think I missed anything.
Good. Well, we will send everyone to the Jericho Mission to continue following you, because you
Absolutely.
are just speaking to every Christian out there that needs to level up and
Yes.
step into their purpose and do what God is calling them to do, even if they're scared.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think fear specifically holds so many people back.
Mhm.
And we get distracted by the struggles. We get distracted by the disappointments of life. We get distracted by the relationship that didn't work out, whether it's family, friends, or a marriage. It impacts us all.
Yeah.
And so my challenge to Christians is, how much better would our life be if we were distracted by the things of God instead of distracted by the things of the devil?
Mm.
Wow. That's all. Yeah. That's good.
We might run out of time to worry about the other stuff.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
That's good. That's really good.
What would you say to someone that is so stuck in the cycle of that they don't even recognize it, though?
Yes. So let me think on that for a moment. Because I want to choose my words carefully so they don't sound insensitive. But typically, someone who is stuck needs to surrender
Mm.
because they are trying to control something, whether it's fear-based,
Right.
whether it's safety-based, like if I give this up, I'm not going to be able to protect myself. Whatever it is, God can handle all of that. Someone once said to me, there is a difference between submission and surrender. And that broke me because I was fully submitted to God, but I was not surrendered.
Wow.
And I'm what we call a picker and chooser. I will surrender this, but I'm gonna hang on to this. And so I reached a point at my lowest where I genuinely, I kid you not, there was not one area of my life that I did not feel like was crumbling. I had lost a job. My marriage was struggling. My kids and I were walking through something deeply personal. My relationships felt like they were just falling apart. I had a good friend completely just slander me and try and ruin my reputation publicly. There were so many things going on. And I finally had to say to God, I'm going to just give this all to you because I can't handle it. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to process it. I don't even know which one to start with first. And that surrender where instead of saying, okay, I'm going to give you this and this, but keep the other things, when I gave it all to him, it was like he gave me back the peace to wait for him to do what he needed to do in each of those situations. And so it does sound a little cliche, but God really is the only one who can fix some of these problems because he has to have permission. One, again, to change us so we can better handle that situation and see it more clearly. Not every friend requires forgiveness and reconciliation, but I feel like that's something we've been taught. And so we might be trying to restore this relationship, and he's like, just let it go. Let me have it. Let me do the work there. Let me talk to them. Let me convict them. And we hang on to it. And so I think that surrender to God, and it's a mutual thing where, like, when we surrender everything to him, he doesn't just take it and then, like, not talk to us about it.
Right.
In our quiet times, in our prayers, in our journaling, he starts to reveal things to us in a new way. We could be reading that same old verse, but he honors that surrender. And he goes, okay, read it again, and you're going to see something new. And now you're going to have a better understanding of how to walk through this in the way I would have you walk through it. And so it's like that open door of, like, we might not always know the outcome, but God does. But how many of us want to control that outcome to one that we prefer, that we're comfortable with? And let's be honest, sometimes that I came up with, because my ideas are really good. I wish he would take more of them.
I am your child, God, so clearly you gave it to me.
Yes. But he can do so much more with it if we surrender it. We were not meant to carry around what we are required to carry in today's world. And so if we can come to a place where we trust God so deeply with every part of our life, every aspect of every struggle, to just say, okay, I'm going to give this to you. It's still impacting me. I'm still hurt by it, but I want you to help me process, you to help me heal, you to help me navigate it. He will ask us to do some pretty crazy things that we'll have to consider, but if we do it his way, willingly, there's always a better outcome.
Yeah.
Always. He can take that burden. I mean, I have prayed prayers many times for people who have hurt me, that not only do I want to forgive them, take away my feelings and emotions, take away the memory of what they did or said, and I don't want to have any kind of a response when I hear their name. I want to be cleansed of the unforgiveness and the hurt altogether. Wow. And he can do that. I didn't know he could do that until he did it for me, but he can do that for everyone. We do not have to continue to carry these burdens. He carries them effortlessly. And then he shows us how to walk through each and every one of those situations.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That whole, like, he'll cleanse you. And, like, when I hear their name, I have no response. Like, that's powerful.
Yes, it is.
Powerful. Whew. Okay. That's a perfect thought to end. Everybody can have healing. Let's go. Surrender. That is my word of the year, by the way.
It is.
Oh, is it? I didn't even know.
God just keeps knocking me over the head with it, honestly.
Oh.
In a good way, right? In a loving way. But it's just like, see, are you paying attention?
Well, I would submit to you the same thing that was said to me. Like, submission is one thing, surrender is another.
That's right.
And he wants our full surrender.
That's right.
Not because he's overbearing and greedy and wants everything in all of us. And, he wants it because he knows he can handle it. And he knows the peace we can have when we let go of it.
That's right.
It's a hard step to take, to surrender fully, because there's so much we have to let go of and trust him with.
Yeah.
But man, he's so faithful with it. It's amazing. I mean, it's literally amazing how faithful he is with the things we choose to give him.
That's right.
He can fix it all. in his own way. That doesn't mean, I want to clarify, sorry. That doesn't mean every single problem we have will get fixed the way we think it should.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
his fixes are the best fixes, whether we like it or not, or agree with it or not. The way he does things is always the best way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so good. It's a great clarification.
Well,
Well,
is there
thanks so
anything
much.
else that you want to share before we log off here?
Um, let's see. I think we hit all the main points, the things I wanted to say and cover. I know we've talked a lot about women specifically, but the books themselves are written gender neutral. All of the educational resources, they're for men, they're for women, they're for young adults, they're for anybody in that older population, like you said, retired people, because all it is a challenge to you to grow deeper in your faith. If you read the book and you already know everything in it, that's fine. But if you don't, then it's just a call to have a better relationship and to go deeper in your faith. I did write the books that way on purpose so that they could reach a wider audience. I feel like if there's a book a wife can read, but a husband can't, it can't help them both, and they both need the same message. So a lot of my ministry will be based for women because that's who I can reach with my story and myself being in those spaces. But the resources themselves are for everyone. So if you go to our storefront and you download those daily declarations, there are 3 of them that are available. One are for the men of God, women of war, which is what I call my women's ministry, and then Hope Rising, which is the young adult ministry. I feel like young adults are very overlooked right now in the church. Culture is going after them hand over foot, but the church is not. And so I really feel very passionately to cover that age group and give them some resources that they can use to still grow in their faith while they're young. So that's it.
Awesome. Yay.
Well, thank you. We are so honored that you came onto our podcast. We are all about going from rundown to renewed state.
Absolutely.
And we can only do that through Christ, and your mission and ministry line up with that perfectly. So thank you.
Oh, you guys are very welcome. This has been an awesome conversation. I always love getting to share what God has done in my life and what he's doing in and through me, because if he can use me, he can use anybody.
Yep.
And let's be honest, he has no choice but to use broken people because we're all broken. So your brokenness isn't a disqualifier. And so he can still use you at any phase in your life. Now he can use you more as you grow, and he can use you in bigger, deeper ways as you get closer to him and build your character and everything else. But he can still use you where you're at.
That's right.
No matter where that is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we always like to end our podcast by saying a little something. So if you are feeling run down,
there is space for you at our table.